This room contains works that provide evidence, fairly rare in Umbria, of the legacy of the work of Caravaggio. Saint Cecilia by Orazio Gentileschi, and in particular the two works attributed to Valentin de Boulogne, a painter of French origin who came across the work and ideas of Caravaggio in Rome, although he did not actually meet the artist himself, who had already died when he came to Italy. The two paintings, dated to about 1622 and belonging to a private collection in Città della Pieve, represent two episodes from St. John's Gospel, both depicting Christ's revelation to a woman. On the left, Noli Tangere, the encounter between the risen Christ and Mary Magdalene. On the right, the conversation between Christ and a Samaritan woman at a well. In both paintings, the composition is pared down to the bare essentials. The figures are almost life-size and have extremely theatrical gestures and expressions, accentuated by the vertical light that gives shapes and plasticity to their bodies. In both works, which are set in the artist's own era, as can be seen from the details of the clothing, the story is constructing through gestures, glances, expressions, and details that refer to the account in the Gospel. The painting of Noli Tangere depicts the moment when Mary Magdalene, after discovering Jesus' tomb to be empty, meets a man whom she mistakes for a gardener. The fact that the episode is set in a garden is shown by the presence of a spray of ivy in the upper left of the scene. When the man calls her by her name, Mary, she recognizes Jesus. Perhaps it is then that she becomes aware of the stigmata on his hands and rib, and she reaches out to embrace him, but she is stopped by the gestures Christ makes with his hand and the words, "Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father." The other painting represents the passage in which Jesus stops at a well in Samaria, waiting for the return of the disciples. Here he meets a Samaritan woman whom he addresses, which, as a Jewish man, went against all social conventions, and asks for some water. This leads to a complex dialogue through which the Samaritan woman recognizes that Jesus is the Messiah, the person who can give her water to slake her thirst for eternity. In both works, Valentin portrays the sacred scene and analyzes the psychological aspects involving the viewer and encouraging their direct participation as the third character in the story.